I'm afraid I wasted way too much time in corporate, and I wish someone had told me this sooner. I thought working overemployed and remote would fix my perception about the 9 to 5, but it didn't. All it really did was show me that this isn't for me. And now that I've seen it, I just can't unsee it. I've lived it for too long and honestly have been just sleepwalking. Like maybe for the past 5 years working these jobs. But I'm done. And I know that there are folks out there that are thinking about the same thing, but it's hard to talk about this because the more I try and explain my reasoning, the more I think it comes alive and other people start to question their own beliefs around work. So I'm going to preface this with saying, don't quit your job. And look, I get it. There are people that truly admire their careers. And don't let me be the one to make you think otherwise. But I'm talking to the people that are in my position, that have that gut-wrenching feeling inside of them, knowing that like they're meant for way more. A job is good. It is. You know, it provides stability, income, so much benefits, and this is why everyone does it. This is why we wake up, go to work, and deal with bullshit, because it provides stability. It's what we've been told to do ever since we were young, and trying to break away from this is like one of the hardest things. Early on as a kid, I was a pretty good student, man. Like, I wasn't the smartest, but I was a high achiever. And now that I'm here in corporate, I realize that this isn't it. There's no way this can be it. I've thought about the different ways and how this could work, but at the end, it just doesn't. The more stable the route is, the more risky it becomes. Despite the 280K salary, none of it actually matters. I'm looking at this window here in my apartment. I used to look at it thinking, wow, what an amazing view. But now it's the complete opposite. I look at it thinking, hey, I could potentially end this right now, and I don't have to sit in bullshit meetings. I don't have to pretend at work, and I don't have to not be myself, not have to scream inside, thinking like, what are these people doing? You know, like it's. So despite close to making almost 300K in comp, I'm now looking at this awesome view that I have in my apartment and realize like, I don't see this as a view anymore. I see it as actually like a way out. Now it's like, hey, I need to get out of this prison, and this window might be the ticket. It's so twisted. And I know this is the pressure that I put on myself. And I think it was the insecurity that no single job is going to keep you safe. And if you let it keep you safe, you actually become a slave to someone else's decision. And it doesn't matter how long you've worked there. It doesn't matter how well of a job you think you do. Like, you are always going to be at the whims of someone else. Still remember it like it was yesterday. I was on my trip. I was in Japan again. And I remember my boss calling me like 10 p.m. over there, and him telling me that he basically got let go. This guy was like the most intelligent, well-spoken, awesome dude that like mentored me. And I'm like, they would let this person go? That just made me realize that like you're just a number. No matter how hard you work, how long you have, how much tenure you have in a company, that you're not safe. Even when they tell you you are, you aren't. You're always going to be a number. There's tons of employees at like these even larger companies where you thought it was safe, and here they are being let go. Some of the most skilled and smart professionals being let go because they're numbers. And I think anyone else that tries to convince you that you aren't is lying to you. So while you can, and while you're still able, and this is again, I'm talking to myself here, do something about it. And basically that realization that we're disposable. Once our time is done, once we're no longer a useful tool, we're out. Like, sad to say, but that's the truth. Basically, your life being controlled by decisions that sometimes you don't even make, that's out of your control. And especially now with AI, working as an analyst or statistician I think is going to become more and more obsolete. And so basically that's how I discovered overemployment as a means to protect myself by like stacking my own jobs. And it's confusing, and the overemployment community is pretty low key. But I'm all for it, man. Like, people trying to hedge against being shafted by their work, I think is the way to go. And thankfully, I had the career and means to do so. So if you can do it, do it. Maybe so that you can get to this realization even faster that you do need to pursue your own thing and take some risks. Otherwise, like, those risks are going to be forced on you. And hopefully not at a time when you aren't ready for it. And unless I started to take control of the wheel, like nothing is going to change. I'm going to sit here resentful and I'm going to be screaming inside my head, listening to these people in these meetings that are just so good at politics. Like now that I've worked at small companies, big companies, and that I've worked through all these jobs, I realize big company or small or big company, that it's all the same. I thought being where I'm at now would feel totally different, but now that I'm here, I realize what I want is freedom. What I want is to not be under someone else's grips and to be under my own control, to spend my time how I choose to create value from my own accord and not because someone is telling me to. Like on paper, everything seemed right, but being grateful doesn't cancel out discontent. You can be grateful and still be discontent, and that's okay. I think it's these moments of discontent that actually allows us to continue and improve. Like if I didn't feel this right now, I wouldn't think about being an entrepreneur. But when I wake up and think about this, all the signs lead towards starting my own thing. And like the path is risky, the path is unknown, but I just can't fathom the day when I'm on my deathbed and think back, wow, you could have done it. Like that regret to me just seems way more terrifying than what I'm feeling now. If what I'm feeling now is supposed to be my highest and I feel miserable, then actually means it's only up from here. I've already decided that I'll be quitting in 60 days once I come back from my trip in Japan. And kind of wish that I would just get fired. Again, this is risky. I don't have much, but I do have my savings, but I think anything is better than this. And some might say like, hey, just do one job, but in reality, I know where that rabbit hole leads towards. Having one job will make you beholden to that one job. Having one job actually means that you're going to do whatever it takes to keep that one job. And that's why I started doing the overemployment stuff, because I don't want to be a slave to just one job. I wanted to know that if I was let go, I would have something to fall back on. And I don't think you can be overemployed without detaching yourself away from work. And it's such a weird feeling because, like, you know, since we were young, we the goal was to have a good career, to devote yourself to your craft, your work. These people don't care about you, right? Like, create something for yourself that you care about. And choosing corporate as a long-term solution, I think, is just a slow death. I've sleepwalked for like the past 5 years, and it's way too late. I could have spent that time creating my own thing. And I'm gonna be honest, like I wish I had, right? Don't get me wrong, like I'm grateful, but again, I'll say like being grateful doesn't cancel out being discontent. And again, there's nothing wrong with being discontent. Trying to improve and reach a goal, whether it be attainable or not, I think is the joy in life. We may never get there, but the journey to get there, I think, is the path to fulfillment. And it's funny because like I'll hear these Slack or Teams notifications and like literally I realized a sound now gives me anxiousness. Even after hours. And I mean, that's the issue with working white collar jobs. Like you have to think about work outside of the 9 to 5. And even worse, if you're working remote, like your home actually becomes a prison, like a cage. And that freedom that remote work once brought is actually feels more like an illusion. Though I think if you can do remote work, I would still try and get remote work because at least then you can try and focus on things outside of your 9 to 5 and maybe start your own thing, business, entrepreneurship, whatever it is. Not to mention the quality of life just goes up exponentially because you don't have to deal with traffic, especially here in California. So 4 or 5 years in corporate, I've always been interested in business and entrepreneurship anyways, all the way from like Tim Ferriss to Alex Hormozy. And there's this quote that just keeps ringing in the back of my head. This is from Alex Hormozy. And it goes something like, if we're going to suffer in life anyways, you might as well find that thing that's worth suffering for. Don't let this rat race take away the fire in your eyes. Win the game of life and know that you've squeezed every last ounce of because again, what's more terrifying is sitting there in your deathbed trying to justify your regrets. Go at it all the way. You can do it. If you feel the same way and resonate with my story, know that you're not alone. And I understand that I'm fortunate. I don't have kids yet and I don't have a mortgage. which is crazy because like with the income that I have, even getting a home now does not seem reasonable. And waiting every year for a 5% raise doesn't even beat inflation. I feel like the only way out of this is to really bet on yourself and take on that risk. Otherwise, the stability in the job that you have becomes a risk when they lay you off and you've devoted your life to building someone else's dream. And one night I'm sitting there and I feel this like tight squeeze in my chest and I'm like, dude, that's my heart. Like I've never felt that before, and I'm a pretty or was a pretty active guy. Now I'm overweight and I'm trying to lose weight, but I felt those heart palpitations like I've never felt before. And that's when I knew like this is not worth it. Like if this is the end of it, then everything I've done actually meant nothing. And that health actually when will always come first. Like your health actually needs to come first. Otherwise you don't get to experience wealth or relationships. So I realized that I need to be taking care of my body and that I've let myself go and that this sedentary remote lifestyle was cool and all, but it's not cool if I'm dead. So with that, I'm trying to document my journey of losing weight because I used to be a personal trainer and was into powerlifting and I enjoy that stuff. But I've let myself go and I don't go to the gym as often anymore. And, you know, it was those times I really felt like I was working towards something was when I was working on my own body because it was mine, right? If you're doing what I'm doing or if you're at your own job, you know, build a nest egg enough so that you can pursue something else. But don't let this be the end of it because this isn't life. And you know it. So go after it. Bet on yourself, right? Like the last time I felt like this was I was pursuing my personal training business back in the day. Ended up having to leave because I had to go pursue a career. And so now I kind of wish that I had just pursued that instead. And so I've already decided that in 60 days, when I come back from my vacation in Japan, I'm quitting all my jobs. Like I know I need to get my health back and you know, I'll figure this out. I'll document the journey and at worst I can go find another job again or, you know, maybe do some kind of other work. So I'm not telling you to quit. I'm just sharing my story because I know I would have wanted to hear this sooner, knowing that this would be the outcome. So again, I'm just sharing the path. I'm not prescribing it. I'm inviting you to follow along in my journey while I figure it out in real time. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one. Deuces.